Welcome to the AdHero podcast. Coming to you every Friday on AdSemble.com. My name is Geno, Giovanni.
And I'm Matthew Olivieri.
And we're your personal AdHeroes.
In the house.
Good
to be back.
Good to be back. We got a great show for you today. As always, got some big news in the world of advertising to talk about. And we're going to also be diving into why text messaging is a valuable tool to use for your marketing in your business.
Yeah, this whole episode today is going to really be focused on the power of text messaging, how different businesses are using it, basically why you should be using it if you're not. And we're going to throw in some tips and tricks in there from our own personal experiences here at AdSemble. So it's going to be a good show.
Really good show. Yeah, I want to tune in. And also catch us on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
But we start off every show with our A block here with some banter and pop culture references and movies and things like that.
Just updates on things going on in the world. We like to keep our listening audience afloat.
That's right.
What do we got in the A block here?
Well, look, hospitality is really blowing up right now. And one of the things in hospitality that's really blowing up here are going to be the movie theaters. And there's places like AMC and Regal that will be opening up their movie theaters. And it looks like AMC will be going at a 25% capacity in each theater, which is roughly around like 100 people. And they're going to be requiring people wearing masks going into their theaters. However, Regal Cinemas will not be requiring masks worn at their movie theaters.
What?
I'm just curious why Regal doesn't feel that masks are necessary, but AMC does. You have any insight on that?
I unfortunately did not like they didn't have they being Regal, I didn't hear too much from them other than we're just not going to like make it mandatory. If people want to wear a mask, they can. I guess it's maybe like the freedom of it, but I've also heard that one of the safest places you can be is a movie theater, but more than a restaurant.
That's okay, but restaurant dining right now is largely still outdoors only. Last time I checked. So help me understand that. How does being stuck inside a enclosed room with people, even if they are wearing masks, better than being outdoors?
The only third thing I heard was because of the tables. And because the tables can have a lot of infection on it. So people aren't putting things on tables and food on tables. But then the thing is like, hey, like we've all been to those movie theaters where there have been sticky floors from popcorn, sodas, and God knows what else.
All right, I buy that. I bite. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to the movie theaters opening. We talked about this recently that theaters, the theater game is kind of changing. Now they have these nice recliners. They have food service like right to your chair, seated. The seats heat up. I mean, it's like a whole like luxurious experience now. So it's a little bit pricey to go to the movies, but movies are a good time out. They're a great date. They're a great way to relax. I always look forward to going to the movies. How about you?
Oh, I love it. Just like we talked about on a previous episode, you can relax so much in those chairs, you eventually just kind of fall asleep.
That's right. That's their secret ploy. What else do we have on tap, my man?
Okay, so check this out. We're always talking about streaming on the show, right? So HBO Max, everyone anticipated it. People blowing this up like it's huge what they're doing. But come July 1st, HBO will be pulling majority, if not all, of their, I think it's majority though, of their DC Universe titles. So we're talking Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad, even the Lego movie.
Does not compute.
Why would HBO Max do that? That seems like not a smart move when you're launching a product and you're trying to get people to sign up and subscribe so they can tune in and watch content that you would immediately yank content from them.
That's like saying, and this is what I read in the article, where Netflix has the orange is the new black. You advertise it, and then you pull it from your content.
Ooh, I don't see that boding well. I know I previously was very highly interested in subscribing to HBO Max, but on that news, I mean, you're talking about some of the classics there, the Batman films. I mean, you name it, right? If that's not going to be available for me to watch, I guess maybe I can go back and watch like Game of Thrones and other things, but I don't know, man. That just doesn't sound like a smart move.
It just seems to me that Warner Brothers just keeps ruining DC as much as they can, even though they're really trying to help it and have it compete against Marvel.
That's a losing battle.
Yeah. But the issue was basically licensing, which to me it still doesn't make any sense because okay, here you have AT&T buying Time Warner, all because of their back catalog to compete in the streaming wars. To now having, and by the way, Time Warner owns HBO, and to now coming fast forward to today, where you're about to take out all the DC films on your catalog.
Yeah, weak sauce. All right, what else do we got here?
Okay, and for the MCU, so we just transition.
I'm waiting for you to give the punchline first before I do the sound effect.
We are going. Rumor has it that Beyonce Knowles could be the next Storm from X-Men featured in the Black Panther 2.
That was like a delayed sound effect.
Should just went.
Yeah, I know. I gotta say, man, I don't know how I feel about that one completely because I'm just like an old school Halle Berry fan. Like I just think she killed it as Storm, and it's gonna be some tough shoes to fill. But I suppose if there was a leading actress out there who could do it, it would be Beyonce. So that'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it was rumored this was happening because apparently Beyonce is part of the soundtrack. And now the rumor has gone further, saying that like she actually might star in the film.
Wow.
I mean, hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, was the last film she did was the Austin Powers movie, or was there something in that I missed?
I feel like there was something in between. Like maybe something that she won like an Academy Award for or something like that. Not entirely sure on her filmography list of movies, but I'd have to IMDb that.
We're more marketers instead of film experts.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Okay. Well, those were some good updates there, man. Thanks for curating those for the show.
Yes, you're welcome. We're about to go into the B block right now, and a huge story broke today, or actually last week, where we really had to announce this, but we didn't have enough time.
I think when we say huge stories break, we can't say today because most likely the listening audience is going to be hearing this episode maybe a week from now.
That's
maybe months down the road if they go back into the archives. So I think we should clarify what month did this or day did this story break.
Okay, so June, was it 13th?
2020.
Yeah,
2020. Okay, all right.
So
thank you.
Advertisers on Facebook form an anonymous group to stop future business into the social media giant. This is coming from Adweek here. The shadowy group Detox Facebook emerged just last week, but is already getting traction online. The anonymous ran group, a coalition of current and former advertising and tech workers, hopes to pressure advertisers to relocate ad budget away from Facebook and Instagram until the company, quote unquote, ends hate speech and lying in political advertising. In regards to the several posts from President Trump and what the advocacy group feels is false advertising with political ads.
And this story comes from?
This comes from Adweek and also some stuff from Business Insider as well.
Okay, so let's pull this back a little bit. Let's digest this for some people listening in that might not be familiar with what's going on. So apparently, ever since the 2016 election, it was widely reported on that both candidates, although mostly, I think, coordinated by President Trump's candidacy or his party that was trying to get him elected, did a very aggressive amount of social media advertising, and that social media advertising, included paid advertisements, which may or may not have come from different groups that kind of look to slander the other candidate in lieu of making, now the current president look like the more favorable candidate that you should vote for. And as a result of that, basically because he was for, however you want to slice and dice it, he was savvy enough to get on that and take advantage of that opportunity, is basically as plainly as you can put it. But what that led to was an outcry for some more policing when it comes to political advertising on social media platforms. And now fast forward to this upcoming election in November, certain social media factions, such as Twitter, one of them, has started to flag certain tweets that the president makes or other groups make as basically letting users know who encounter them, hey, this might be a questionable thing, that this might not be a factual thing that's being stated. Here's a link that you can click on to go research this some more on your own, or something to that effect, is my understanding of the whole situation. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, founder of Facebook, has famously or infamously, depending on how you look at it, come out and said, we are not going to flag messages by the president or anybody else for that matter, because we should not be the people that are policing what these individuals are saying, because who are we to judge what they're saying as factual, not factual? Like, we might not have all the data either, so we're just not going to say anything at all. Okay, that's what's been taking place. And so a lot of people feel, especially anti-Trump people, feel that that is just going to perpetrate what took place in 2016. It's going to be a repeat of that. And so there's a very large amount of people who are upset by that. But, then you also have people who on the other side of the argument are like in favor of what Mark Zuckerberg is kind of taking a stance for and saying like, hey, we're not trying to be the police of the world. We're trying to just create an environment where people can have open dialogue and open conversations. So it really kind of depends like what side of the coin you're on is how you're going to feel about all this. I don't know, Geno, are you on the side of Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, and their decision to do the flagging the messages, or are you on the side of Mark Zuckerberg and not flagging messages?
I think I'm on the side of Zuckerberg, which is actually very interesting because most things I'm kind of like questionable about what he says. However, I remember him in the Senate council meetings or whatever back in Washington months ago, where he said that Facebook is a place for everybody to come with all their ideas and kind of like talk about it. So, with all this dialogue being canceled and cancel culture and so forth these days, it's just gotten too dangerous in my opinion. So I say, you know what, let's go and let's talk. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. I think, I think certain messages can be subjectively interpreted when a person, like, let me see how I can say this the right way. The same exact message tweeted out by two completely different types of people could be interpreted or understood in a multitude of ways.
Of course.
And so if you arbitrarily decide to start flagging one person's message, then by default, you are obligated to flag every single message that's put out there, every single thought that's put out there. Because how do you arbitrarily decide that just because person X has a certain number of followers, that his or her messages should be flagged, but somebody else who only has 100 followers, well, they're too small to matter, so we won't bother flagging their messages if they say the exact same type of rhetoric.
Reminds me of that show Black Mirror.
Not familiar with that show, just in case any of our audience is also in that camp. Why don't you explain?
Oh, well, because there was an episode about ratings, and people would go around and rate each other. And the lower rating you have, the more of an outcast you are to society.
Fascinating. Yeah, so I'm going to side with Mr. Zuckerberg on this one as well. Here's an open-ended question for our listening audience. What do you guys think? We would love to hear from you. Drop us a note on our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, any of that stuff, and hopefully it won't be flagged.
And yeah, and one thing to add to that, if you're a fan of literature, and I kind of am, even though sometimes I don't read really, but the book 1984, and all you got to do is go. If you're not a fan of reading, you go into YouTube, check out 1984. you could see what we're talking about here.
Right. It's a big deal, man. You got to be involved. You got to know what's going on in the world, and you got to have an opinion. Right? People like it when someone has an opinion. It doesn't matter if your opinion agrees with everybody else. Just take a stance. Right? It's okay to not feel the way everybody else feels. It's okay to feel content with how you feel, and then like all great people, learn how to debate your position and stand for what you believe in.
It's like I heard on the street. If you're gonna dish it, if you're gonna say it, dish it or something like. Basically, if you're gonna say something, stand by your convictions.
There you go. I dig that. Okay, man. Let's move right along into the real kind of focus of the show here today.
Oh, that's right.
It is all about text messaging. What's the C block quote you got here for us?
So this is coming from a array of sources here, but it's saying that text messaging is the most effective marketing channel most retailers' brands aren't using. Believe it or not. An article found from Marketplace, average email open rates for retail marketers are just over 18%, but more than 90% of the text messages are opened by recipients, typically within minutes. Even as messages are gained in popularity as a marketing channel, it's still woefully underutilized by majority of retail marketers.
Wow, that is some interesting stats there, especially the one about the 90%. That is insane, man. That's the actual number? It's 90?
Yeah, it was a study done back in 2006. 2016. When it comes to emails and text messages and their open rates, and opens also equals engagement.
Right. So let's figure out let's pull back some layers here, and let's figure out what this can mean for you and your business, right? So the real question is, are you utilizing text messaging in your business? Okay? And so if the answer to that question is just flat out, no, I'm not, then your personal ad heroes are here to ask you why. And, the proof is in the pudding right there. If you have ever visited a big box store or retail or restaurant, chances are you've already been introduced to the concept of letting these businesses communicate with you through SMS text message, most likely to provide you with an occasional coupon or an update or something to that fact. I literally just got one earlier this afternoon from Bed Bath & Beyond as one example. There's my favorite local pizza shop here in Silicon Valley. I'm opted into their text message club, and they periodically will send me a discount for large pizza, which I will very regularly take advantage of. And so you have businesses of different sizes and shapes, two examples right there, taking advantage of the interaction or the capabilities of getting right to their customer on their cell phone. Now, we all know that a cell phone is like a set of car keys, and pretty much every single person in the world now, like if they misplace their phone for 5 seconds, it's like frantic mode, right? It's like full blown, like stop everything, I can't find my phone.
Right.
So the stat that you just read, makes a lot of sense that the open rate and the engagement rate would be so high on text messages. And I don't know, man, what do you think about that stat? And why don't you share how we kind of saw that opportunity a long time ago here at our company and how we utilize the text messaging?
Yeah, it's, I was actually kind of blown away by this stat, and it was actually kind of interesting in the article. It was also stating that the people sign up to get text messages, and just as frequently as they do to get emails. So they opt in, but the retailers just don't utilize the text messages. I mean, I get stuff from AMC theaters every time I'm near an AMC, and it's attracting me to go to the theater, and it gives like special things for it. So I like it. So I'm a fan of it, and you know what? We also utilize it here at AdSemble, do we not?
Yeah, we do. We do. So why don't you explain, kind of how we do that here? Because I think the listening audience would be And this is a real life example. This is what we do at the company. So why don't you say a little bit more about that?
Well, you know what? In this day, I mean, we like to kind of keep it old school in a way, where we would call people who are interested in doing billboard advertising. But at one point, we just decided to text message people because people were not picking up their phones, and people by meaning like leads. And so we just saw a huge increase in engagement where people or leads actually came in and or responded back to us and were more inclined to take a phone call later or just keep it on the text message, and we would guide them through our product, opendisplay.com. So I like it. I think it's kind of, some people might say it's like invasive if you call these days, which is kind of out of my mind, but whatever. But it makes it even easier for people in sales because it's almost like having a warm email and then going into a warm call after that, instead of getting a call from a random number that you have no idea where they're from. And a lot of people don't want to accept that, especially if you have bills to pay.
Yeah,
I mean.
Yeah, I think and full disclosure, just so everyone's crystal clear, our website lets people sign up, and there's an opt-in button that the user can click to get a phone call or a follow-up from us if they're confused about how to utilize the website, opendisplay.com. So we only reach out to those folks who have opted in, much like the AMC experience and some of these other things. And so, yeah, just the revelation was basically like, hey, we're having a little bit of a hard time sometimes getting through to these people that have given us their phone number and asked for a call back. Why don't we just take a shot and try text messaging them first and kind of warming them up to the fact that we're going to be calling them because they requested that we call them. And when we started doing that, our numbers of engagement and callback went through the roof, as Geno just said. And so here's your pro tip on how you can effectively do this. So if you run a small business and you are collecting user signups and they're providing you with a phone number, then the simple strategy is you also include a checkbox or some sort of mechanism that offers them to receive a call back from you to learn more about your services. Now, when they do that, and you can even clarify that it's either a call or you may send a text. You can even clarify that so that they're ready for it. And the text message says something like this: "Hi, so-and-so. This is Tom from Company X, reaching out to you because I saw you signed up on our website, and I wanted to be respectful of your time and figure out the best way or time that I can give you a call to walk you through our platform. Is it okay to send you a text?" Now, if you're polite to somebody and you're just being nice in how you do this, you will see nearly a 100% engagement response, okay? Because most people, even if they change their mind and they no longer want to call anymore, they will at least politely tell you, like, it's all good, I figured it out, I don't need a call back anymore, right? They'll say that to you.
They will.
Okay? And then meanwhile, other people will be like, "Oh, cool, thanks so much for texting me. Yeah, that's no problem. Let's speak later today at 4 o'clock. Okay, now you're not just calling them blind, even though they requested a call. Now you're calling them at a defined time that they said to give you a call. And I'm telling you, if you work in sales or marketing, text messaging is a game changer, but you have to write proper English. You have to use proper grammar. Don't try to avoid using a ton of emojis and all this other stuff, because you're not talking to a buddy or a friend, you're talking to a potential client. So you want to be respectful in how you're messaging them, but you also want to not abuse it, right? Don't send 10 text messages in a row if they're not engaging with you. That's just being, kind of a jerk. You send one. If they engage, great. If they don't, you can still try to call them. But, I mean, Geno, do you have any other tips on that front?
I think, one text message usually does it. If you want to follow up the next day with a call, that can help too, because at least if they've seen your number, and it has helped me out where they've seen the text, they didn't respond right away, but they accepted the call anyway. So just don't be afraid to try new things. And that was the main idea of this article that we pulled up because of COVID-19 and people just trying new things and new marketing techniques. So you got to put yourself out there and see what works and what sticks to the wall.
Yeah, and again, the biggest thing is be polite when you try this out. Use proper English, use proper grammar. If they respond great, we've even had some customers straight up say like, "Hey, thank you so much for the text. I really appreciate that." Now, that's kind of a shocking response, right? Usually, maybe someone will get annoyed, like, "Why are you texting me?" No, we've had people say, "Thank you so much for respecting my time and sending me a text. I'm actually really busy right now, but I did want to walk through the app with you. Can we just do it all over text?" And that's just freaking awesome. Then we're just straight going through the app, walking them through entirely over text message. And we've even helped people get all the way to the finish line and launch a campaign entirely over text. So try it out, keep it, and give us some feedback. Let us know how it worked.